Hello everyone, I'm Anna, also known as Anna-Knitter. You can find me at annaknitter.com. You can find me as Anna-Knitter on Ravelry, Annalena-Knitter on Instagram. And everything about this episode, all the projects, links to patterns, my social media, and everything you want to know, you find in the description box below. This is a knitting and crocheting podcast. Today I have only knitting to show you, and my last podcast is approximately a month ago, maybe even longer than that. So it's, yeah, I think it's a month. And yeah, I'm sorry. When you're pregnant, your priorities are shifting, and you don't feel like everything every day. I think all the moms out there can relate to that. But today I have lots to show you. I have several finished objects, some works in progress. I will answer some InstaKnitNight questions. I have a German word of the day for you. I have to announce the 8,000 subscribers winner. I contacted her already. I have some advent ideas because we were in the midst of Christmas in July. And so it's a lot. I would say let's start with finished objects. Okay, my finished objects. I will start with the two baby items and then we will progress to socks, adult-sized socks. Here is the first one. This is a tiny, cute baby sweater. It's called Flax Sock Baby by Tincan Knits. I used 2.5mm needles for the ribbing everywhere. And for the rest of this sweater I used 3mm needles. The yarn I used is so soft. I actually wrote it down. 16 micron. So I don't know if you are familiar with micron when it comes to merino wool, but the smaller the number, the softer the yarn feels. And I would say 16 micron feel already like cashmere. You don't have to invest in expensive cashmere yarn, which doesn't hold up quite so nicely as merino. Just go on the hunt for a good micron number. I would say the normal soft sock merino bases have approximately 22 micron, I would say. My yarns that I had in the shop had 22 micron, but 16 is even softer. You wouldn't use a 16 micron for socks because it will pill and probably felt, but for garments, especially for baby garments, it's perfect. As you see, I did knit the garter detail. Some people don't knit it. You can knit it in InstaKnitNight. This sweater pattern is free and it comes in a huge variety of sizes, from baby to big adult sizes, and it's a free pattern. And the Tincan Knits, I don't know, company or whatever, the designer, developed an app. And that was very useful because it's so much easier to use than a printed pattern because it works with bookmarks. So you always know where you stopped and it's very easy to use. You know what to do, how many increases or decreases you have to do only by one glance at your phone. And I was working on this during our trip to Bavaria, and so it was so much easier than with pen and paper. Yeah, it's very, very cute. The yarn I used, is Atelier Zitron Feinheit. I don't know how to translate Feinheit. Softness, or something very fine and delicate, you know. And the size I knit is 0 to 6 months. I actually don't understand how a baby garment can be 0 to 6 months. I don't understand that. Because isn't that 2 sizes? Usually in Germany at least we say 0 to 3 months and then 3 to 6 months approximately. It's so soft. Okay. I knit this 2 or 3 times now, and I think it won't be the last one. It's very versatile. You can do whatever you want. You can use a self-striping yarn that makes it very pretty. You can use an intarsia pattern. You can do a striped sweater, so a mini scrap yarn sweater. You can do everything with it. You can knit the garter panel on the arms, or you don't do it. If you have a look on Ravelry, if you are still on Ravelry, or maybe there is an Instagram hashtag for it. I don't see the hashtags. Like, not most people see them, so it's useless for me. You see the variety of projects, what people made out of this pattern. The second finished object is a sweater as well, but that is highly modified to what I need. So I wanted to make a Weasley sweater for our baby. So our baby will be here in sometime in October or November. And I wanted to have a Weasley sweater for Christmas, for the Christmas photos, which goes in partner look with my husband's Weasley sweater. So I used the exact same yarn I used for my husband's Weasley sweater. I will insert it here somewhere. And I still have the contrasting color for the leather left over. And after this video I can duplicate stitch the initial letter of our baby's first name onto the sweater. His name is still a secret, so I didn't want to show the first letter on the podcast. And I used two patterns and then I winged it. So the main pattern I used is called the Weasley Sweater by Alison Hansel. I used 4mm needles. I knit the size 0 to 3 month. And the yarn is called Woll Butt Primo Tweed. It's a German yarn. Everything is on my project pages. Did I say which needle size? 4mm needles. So there was another sweater pattern for baby sizes with a yarn approximately that gauge, and I used their cast on numbers. Then I took out of my drawer here behind me, it's not the yarn drawer anymore, it's filled with baby stuff, and I already have some baby garments received from people as presents, and I had a sweater for the size and a bigger sweater because this is oversized, and I laid it next to it and over it to see how long do I have to knit the arms, how wide does it have to be, how long is the body, and so on. So I took the cast on number from the second pattern, the construction from the pattern I told you, but also that I changed. I changed this with my and my husband's Weasley sweater as well. And I winged it. And I think I wrote everything down on my project page, what I changed. I don't think that I wrote down all the centimeters, how long everything should be, because yeah, I just laid it next to the model sweater I had in my drawer, and I hope it will fit on Christmas. If it's too big, it's great, because the Weasley sweater has to be a little bit too big. And it shouldn't be too small. It shouldn't be too small. It's always, with baby garments, it's always so difficult. You always think, oh no, that's too small, or that's too big. You can't, and every baby is different. I don't know how much he will weigh, how long he will be, so how tall he will be. Do you say tall with babies? Yeah, it's funny to think of that. Yeah, so the Weasley sweater. And yeah, the worst part is still ahead of me, the duplicate stitching. But this is so small that I hope it won't take me so long. I can remember when I knit my husband's Weasley sweater. So first I made one for myself, and then years later I made one for my husband. And I, maybe like with childbirth, you forget the painful part. And I know I finished his sweater, so the knitting and sewing everything, so sewing the pieces together 3 days before Christmas Eve or so. And Christmas Eve is when we exchanged the presents. And I said, oh, okay, now I can knit a little bit for myself, and shortly before Christmas Eve I will duplicate stitch his letter on the sweater. It took me an entire day. An entire day. I always took breaks, so I stitched for an hour and then I took a break and moved a little bit or went for a walk, and then I stitched for an hour again. So it takes very, very long, probably because of the uneven nature of the fabric, because it's a rustic looking tweed, or maybe it always takes so long. I don't know. I really don't know. I consider learning how it's called when you don't knit completely color work on the round, only on one spot. Is it intarsia? It's not Fair Isle, it's intarsia, I think. I haven't learned it yet because it looks so messy and yeah. But maybe I should learn it so I don't have to duplicate stitch. These were the baby items. Now we come to 3 pairs of socks. The first pair is my Halloween pair. I started last year around Halloween. The main colorway is an Opal subscription yarn. As you maybe remember, I have cancelled my subscription because I have so much yarn and I want to knit through a little bit of that before I subscribe again. So the main color is an Opal subscription yarn. I think it was in a collection after that too. And these, so orange and black colors, are Opal too. It's 4-ply yarn, so that means fingering weight yarn. And the pattern you see here on the side of the sock is called Skippy stripes. It's over 10 stitches, only on one side of the sock. And on the other sock it's on the opposite side. And it's very easy and a free pattern, and you can find it in the description box below. Yeah, very much fun. I knit, I think I wrote it down. 60 stitches. And I used 2.5mm needles. Skippy stripes. Yeah, very much fun. And I will put them away until Halloween season is here again. I see Halloween in these colors, so I don't know if you agree with me, but for me it's the perfect Halloween color combo. That's that. The sock I finished after that is the second sock of my, how it's called, Baby It's Cold Outside sock set. This was the colorway of the month of January, if you remember. This is on sport weight. Yeah, sport weight. It's the weight between fingering and DK weight. I like sport weight socks because they are not that thick, so you can wear them in your shoes. And it was a sock set, so I had this bright icy blue, a dark blue, and the main color. And I knit the second sock of it. Yeah, and the details. I used 3mm needles and my sock knitting table. You still can buy on Etsy. Yeah, in my Etsy shop, Annette Yarns. Everything is linked under this video. So I have a sock knitting table. What is a sock knitting table? For those of you who tuning in the first time probably. I wrote down all the numbers you need in inches and centimeters and shoe sizes in 3 different shoe size systems. So EU, UK and US. You can look up your shoe size and then you know exactly, so you can look up your shoe size and the yarn weight you want to use. I wrote it for fingering, sport and DK. And then you can look up how many stitches do you have to cast on. How long the foot has to be, how do you do the heel, how do you work, how many decreases do you in which in how many rounds for your size and so on. And that will make it possible to knit perfectly fitting socks. It's written for cuff down and heel flap and gusset, but you can also insert your short row heel, but then you have to decide how to divide the stitches for the heel and so on. That's not provided in the pattern, but it doesn't matter. You still have the centimeters for the foot and the toe and so on. So you can knit a perfectly fitting sock, not only for yourself but also for recipients, so for gift knitting, because you can't try them on for other people if you knit them in another size than yourself. But with this table, and many people reached out to me and told me, yes, perfectly fine, they always fit in every size. It makes life so much easier. And it starts with the children's sizes. I don't know off the top of my head now, but I have from children up to big men shoe sizes. And not only because it's, for me, it's as a German, it's confusing. If I love US patterns because they are always written so clearly and easily and detailed. But when it comes to socks, when they throw around S, M and L, I think, okay, what is L? I mean, I have a friend who has shoe size, I think 48, which is huge. It's huge. My husband has 42, 43. So is every men's size an L? But my husband's socks wouldn't fit my friend who has 48. So yeah, so I wrote it down, converted everything into every shoe size system so you can knit socks for everyone. This was much fun, and it was a quick knit because of sport weight, and I really love the color combo. This is a Christmas color or a winter color, yeah, Christmas or winter. Baby, It's Cold Outside, you know the song. I love this very much. And I worked on it now in July. Now it's August, but I worked on it in July because in our Telegram group, Anna's Knit Club, the prompt for, so we have a monthly prompt, so it's fun, we all knit the same stuff. And the monthly prompt for July and for August as well is Christmas in July. So Christmas knitting, you can knit Christmas presents or Christmas patterns or Christmas yarns. And so I finished this pair and I finished this pair. You saw the first sock already finished when I had this in my sock. It was my sample for the pictures, and now I knit the second sock. This was a mini set I had in my shop in last year in November. So the one light decided to go off. We have to deal with it now because I think I packed away the right cable I use for the plug-in. So I hope everything is okay to watch now. Where was I? Christmas cabin. So that was a mini set in my shop. I used 2.5mm needles. I knit 60 stitches, I think. 64 in this case. And yeah, I alternated the colorways, so the colors, and I really like it. I really like this mini set. This is, yeah, as I said, called Christmas cabin because I see a Christmas cabin. The log, the wooden cabin and the tree, the snow. Yeah, it's very cozy. And this will be stored away until the Christmas season or Advent season is here for us. These were my finished objects. Yes, now we come to works in progress. So, at the moment, I'm working on another pair of simple house slippers. I showed you the different house slippers in the past already. So they look like this. It's, I think, worsted weight yarn. And when you wear the shoes, it looks like this. So it's something in between slipper and sock. It's very easy to knit. It's a free pattern and it's called Simple House Slippers by Temple of Knits. You can type it into Google and then you will find it. You don't have to be on Ravelry to get the pattern. And it's free. There's a paid for version as well, which that helps you with sizing, but you actually don't need that. It's not important. You can use the free version. Yeah, and I'm currently knitting the second slipper of the next pair. Every once in a while I will squeeze in, I will squeeze in a pair, so I will have enough for the colder days for my guests, because in Germany, as I told you, it's common to put off your shoes when you visit someone, but I don't want my guests to have cold feet, so I decided to knit slippers. And then every once in a while I can wash them, but it's wool, it's very, very sheepy wool, so true woolly wool. I can wash it in the machine, but the self-cleaning feature is still working, I think, because I wore them to see how they feel and tried them, how they hold up, just to see how my guests will feel in them. And I looked at them again to model the next pair after the first pair, and I can't see that I wore them at all. So they are squeaky clean. They are not smelly or anything because it's 100% wool. The yarn is called, here. It's called Raggegarn by Mor Ase. It's a Norwegian yarn, I think. Oh, it's not 100% wool, I'm sorry. It's 80% wool and 20% nylon. But you can wash it in the washing machine. And one ball has 50 gram and 90 meter. That's my current active work in progress. So I'm only working on that at the moment, but I have other whips. So that means whips I haven't touched in a while. I want to work on again, but first let me have a look. Yeah, and these slippers come in different sizes, and you can modify them to every size, especially because of the garter starting of this slipper. It's very nice. The 3 sizes will fit everyone. The 3 sizes provided in the pattern. So I have this color, and in the past I showed you the blue marled with black yarn, and the blue slippers are knit in the bigger sizes, in the sizes M and L for the men, and the smaller sizes in this color will be for women. So that means if I when I get out the basket with these guest slippers and I have guests, they can easily find the right size. And I'm still considering adding a tag or something with the size written on it, but I don't think that it's needed. People can see that if they fit or not. Yeah, and these will be for our flat. Okay, I still have two. No. I still have one first finished sock from my shop, actually, when I had my shop. I want to knit the second sock, but I don't know if I wait until Lent or if I or maybe during fall or so, because it's also a very autumnal color. This was the Lent colorway in my shop. So I have this light color at the top, darker purple here, and light at the foot again. And here is the rest of it from my sock set. And I'm looking forward to knit this. So this is not really a whip, but that's something I think I would like to start in the nearer future. Then I didn't show you on the podcast. It's a fairly new cast on. Not so new, I think in June or so. I started another Opal subscription yarn. This sock, and then an Opal unicolor as contrast. Here's the ball. And the subscription was from, so if it's not written on the tag, it was the last subscription I have received, and I don't know after which subscription I cancelled, so I'm sorry. Yeah, it's a very fun girly color, So that's something I can work on very soon. And then we come to my Christmas works in progress, because now that we are still knitting Christmas in July, technically, in August in my Telegram group. And I still have my scrappy cowl. That was my Advent project, if you can remember, if you watched Vlogmas. You know that I made myself an Opal Minis Advent calendar. I picked many minis and my husband put them in my Advent calendar for me. And then I knit them into a scrappy cowl, which now looks like a scarf. Oh, now when I look at it, I want to work on it again. It looks like a scarf, but it's made with a provisional cast on, and I will Kitchener it at the end. And then I have a cowl I can wrap around myself 3 times after I finished all the minis. Oh my gosh, this is so much fun. It's so much fun even to look at it. So I always alternated 2 minis with each other. Yeah, here you see where the jogs from where I attached the new ball. I always alternated 2. Used up half of one ball and the rest of the other ball, and the next day I attached the new ball, used up the first ball and half of the second ball, and so on. So I don't have these blocks of different colorways. And I still have, let me see how many minis I have left to work through. I think 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 1 started. So 10 balls, and 1 mini has 10 gram, I think. Yeah, 10 gram. So 1 skein of yarn is left, so to say. Minis worth 1 skein of yarn. So that's something I can see me working on soon. And here in my basket I have different Christmas yarns, and I started, I think in spring or so. I started my Christmas Cozy Memories blanket, and it's a very tiny start, only 2 squares and the start of a 3rd square. If you can remember, I made a Christmas pillow with these yarns, and now I want to knit a matching Christmas blanket, and I know it will take a while. But here are also already some yarns I will use. They go all nicely together. They are all from the same company. They have all the same dyeing style. And I use an Opal Pure White as a contrasting color. And that's something I could work on during August as well. But if I don't only want to work on that, I also picked some Christmas yarns. So this is not officially a Christmas yarn, but for me it looks like a modern Christmas colorway. It's by Buttinette, Woll Butt, I'm sorry, not available in the US. It's called Lamerton. I think it's a city somewhere. And for me it looks... That actually looks like Christmas in July. Maybe I should work on that. Then I have still my Happy Christmas by Fondant Fiber. I started once and the socks turned out too sloppy. West Yorkshire Spinners with this beautiful colorway. I think it's called Jingleberry or so. No. It was, or was it Twinkling Lights or so? Unfortunately, they don't write it on their tags. I don't know why. But it's a very, very famous color. I love their colorways. And then I still have this beautiful skein, which is technically a winter color, but it's winter and Christmas go together in one section in my brain. And this is sport weight, and I want to make another, how it's called, hot water bottle cozy. You know, I had this free pattern on my website. I think it's not available on my website anymore. I had to close down the shop because Maybe I can put back up the free patterns again. I have to see, because I had to close my business due to my pregnancy. And yeah, if you remember, or I will put it here. So I wrote a pattern for a hot water bottle cozy, and I would like to have one in this color. So these are projects, Advent ideas, or Advent, Christmas in July ideas. And that made me think about how I want to approach Advent knitting this year. I know it's only August, but if you know me, I'm always thinking about Christmas, and especially now that our baby is due in autumn. So I think in November it will be. So October would be very early. So he will be here in November, I think. And then 1 month later, it's Christmas. and Vlogmas, which I don't think I will be able to do. And then I ask myself, do I want to have another yarn advent calendar? Do I want to make swaps? For example, swapping advent packages or even advent calendars? Or do I only make myself an advent calendar? For example, an idea for you now. If you have many leftovers or minis, wind them, put them away, maybe wrap them already, put them aside for December. And I'm sure you will have, you don't remember in December which yarns you packed, especially not which yarns you labeled for which day. And then you will have another nice advent calendar for yourself without spending $200. Because all these advent calendars are too expensive for me. So probably I could afford it, but I can't. Sometimes I would like to, but I can't convince myself to buy that little amount of yarn for so much money. And for Advent, that's not even Christmas. You know, as a Catholic, for me Advent is kind of a Lent. It shouldn't be as good as Christmas. So, and when I spoil myself with something that expensive only for Advent, I'm having a, how it's called in German, we say ein schlechtes Gewissen. Is it a bad conscience? So making them myself and swapping them with other people is also very much fun. Yeah, so the giveaway from last time, I already contacted the winner. Her username is a bunch of letters and numbers were inserted here. She wrote, I asked you, how do you watch my podcast? And she answered, I sit and rest after gardening to watch your podcast. I knit socks usually, and there's a dog asleep across my legs enjoying my company while I enjoy yours. Thank you. Yeah, I like this comment because not so much the gardening part, although we have plants on the balcony, the thing with the dog. Especially now that I'm pregnant, I think our dog noticed something, that there's something going on and something is changing, and he always wants to sit on my lap next to my belly, and as soon as I sit down he's there. Now we come to the German word of the day. Although the morning and the night was amazing because of the wonderful rain we had, we still have very high temperatures. We are well above the 90s, and in German we say, wow, that is such a Affenhitze. Word by word translated, Affenhitze means monkey heat. So when it's very hot and we want to say it in a slightly negative way, we call it Affenhitze, monkey heat. And I looked up how you say this in English, and wait, I have to see. You could say boiling heat or scorching heat when we say Affenhitze. And I thought it's funny because I don't know why we call it monkey heat. What does it have to do with monkeys? But if it's too hot and we are sweaty and we get tired and don't want to move and only want to sit inside, and we don't have ACs here in Germany, that's not common at all. I don't know anyone who has an AC built in his house or flat. There are portable AC, I say machines now, I don't know how it's called. and then you put something out of the window and so on. Yeah, sometimes people do that, but it's not common at all. So we are blessed with, it's called, I know many Americans find fascinating that we have this in Germany. It's blinders for outside, I would say, and you can roll them down in front of your window outside of your house or of your flat, and they keep away the heat perfectly. It makes it dark inside, so you don't have so much daylight, but it helps very much. And we have those, and our flat is built very nicely, so it's not that hot in our flat. This room where I sit now usually is very hot during summer if I don't put down the blinders. I call it blinders now. I will insert a photo here so you see what I mean. Yeah, but some people are not so lucky as we are, and it's difficult. It's difficult to endure this heat. That was the word of the day, Affenhitze, monkey heat. I talked about our knit along already, Anna's Knit Club. We still have this Telegram group, and I love that. And 2 ladies in my Telegram group are organizing a baby shower for me. So we have a thread for my baby shower, and every once in a while they post prompts and games and so on. It's so much fun. It's so much fun to be there. Some people decided to knit something for me, so for the baby. That is so cute. They even set up a give, send, go. That I'm so blown away by that. I love this baby shower thread, and I love to get all the advice from you who have already children, or even grandchildren, so all the wisdom and experiences you have, and you share them there with me. It's amazing. I love that, because I won't have... so baby showers aren't a big thing in Germany. We only have them now slightly coming because of American television and movies, and all my friends are too far away, so I don't have someone who will organize a real life baby shower for me. I wouldn't expect it anyways, because it's not a tradition in Germany. And so this virtual one is amazing. It's so much fun. So if you are curious, hop over and play along with us, or knit along with us. The last 2 segments I still have for you are knitting questions, InstaKnitNight questions, and what I'm currently reading and watching. Okay, let's have a look at the questions. It's Christmas in July. For tonight's InstaKnitNight, are you planning holiday projects yet? Yeah, so what I want to enjoy during the season, yes, but I think besides maybe a pair of socks for Tommy and several things for our baby, I won't knit for other people this year, because there's simply not enough time. We are preparing for the baby now, and getting everything and preparing everything, doing some changes in our flat, so we don't have to do it when the baby is here. And I want to knit for the baby. And when the season is here, I don't want to knit Christmas presents. So I'm not planning Advent or Christmas projects for other people, or that I say I want to reach this or that goal this year, because the baby is our first priority, and I really want to enjoy the time now, the pregnancy, and I want to enjoy the preparation for him, and to focus completely on him and us, and not on other people in addition to that when it comes to knitting, because it would take away too much time. I'm a very slow knitter. Do you knit or crochet to welcome a new baby? Yes, not only my baby, but also for our friends. So I showed you the last item I made was for my friend who delivered her baby, or had her baby now. Her baby is only a few days old today. I crocheted her a blanket, and I made another couple received a blanket from me as well, and sweaters and socks and so on. I love to welcome new babies. Babies are great. Tonight's topic is storage of all things not yarn, needles, tools, etc. Do you have any clever storage ideas to share? Yes, I have lots of ideas, but I don't have the space for it. So for example, I saw people putting their circular needles into binders, for example, so you can flip through them and write on the, it's called folie. Please read the screen. And they write with edding or Sharpie on them, which size and cord length and so on. That's great, but I really don't have the space for something like that, so I sort them a little bit differently. I have 2 boxes which are in the cupboard behind this camera. I had them in the drawers here behind me, but now it's for baby stuff. It's our changing table. So I have a system, but it's not the perfect system just because I'm lacking space. So I can't show you something very nice and present you the great sorting system for your tools and notions. Tonight, let's share some of the best advice you have gotten as you were learning to knit or crochet. It's a very simple advice my mom gave me when I started to learning to knit with DP ends. So I started learning to use them with YouTube videos, and I was so angry and frustrated. I threw these needles away several times and I was cursing. I had very bad needles. They were out of metal, a traditional German brand, which just isn't good for needles in my opinion. I won't say that now, which brand it was. And I used, for whatever reason, cotton yarn. So heavy metal needles and cotton yarn. That's not a good combination. So the needles were sliding through the stitches all the time and I was losing the stitches. It was annoying. And then I changed to other needles and to wooden needles and sock yarn. But it still was confusing for me to have these 5 needles at the same time. And then I was visiting my parents during the summer holidays, and my mom showed me how to do it, but she couldn't teach me how to do it because I don't actually know how you teach someone to do that, because you have to feel it in your hands yourself. But she said, now is the great advice, only concentrate on the 2 needles you are using. You have 5 needles going around, but you have 1 working needle and 1 needle where you have the stitches on and you knit off the stitches. And when I started to only focus on these 2 needles and don't look at what the other needles are doing, poking in the fabric or I don't know, it changed the game. And yes, I created letters and so on in the beginning, as every beginner does, and that's okay. But I was finally able to knit in the round and not do stupid mistakes. I think that was the best knitting advice that I received. And the last question is, tonight's question is, what's for dinner? Today is Friday, and as you know, Fridays we eat meatless and usually something small. So we usually eat warm dishes for lunch. So I give Tommy something for work and I eat it at home. And for dinner we often eat bread or something similar to bread. And for tonight I bought a, is it whole grain? Yeah, a dark whole grain baguette. And we have some dips. Italian, so it's an Italian dip, and then we have cream cheese with herbs and so on, and olives and tomatoes from our own garden on the balcony. So that's what we will be eating tonight. It's Friday, so it's nothing ultra exciting. And the last section, reading and watching. So I am not working anymore because I can't dye yarn while I'm pregnant. Well, I don't risk it because in the warning, on the warning labels, it always says pregnant women have to be ultra cautious handling the dyes. And when I read that, I thought, no, okay, forget it. it can be too dangerous for the unborn child, so I'm not working at the moment. That means I have a little bit more time. That's good, because I have time to prepare all the things, the baptism, everything with the birth and arrival of the baby and all that jazz, and being a homemaker and so on. And I have time for reading and listening to podcasts. And what I was listening to or watching the most was the Spillover podcast by Turning Point USA. The Spillover podcast will be rebranded and renamed next month, so you can find the episodes on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts if you type in Spillover, but be aware that they changed their name. It's moderated by Alex Clark, as I said, Turning Point USA, and they have so great topics. It's a podcast where Alex always interviews an expert on a topic. For example, pain-free birth, breastfeeding, big pharma, big food, the how it's called, food pyramid scam. They had so many different things. They had that's where I encountered Erica Komisar the first time. And since then I have watched every interview available on YouTube with Erica Komisar. And I bought her first book, which leads to what I was reading currently. I have another show I watched too, but I was reading her first of 2 books about raising children. And the first one is called Being There, Why Prioritizing Motherhood in the First 3 Years Matters. And this woman speaks directly from my heart. Everything she writes, so she is a psychoanalyst and a social worker. Wait, the abbreviation is LS, then there's somewhere a W. You guys have so many abbreviations, it's so confusing. Well, she's a psychoanalyst and a social worker and a mother of, I think, 2 or 3. And she is now around 60 years old. And she has so much wisdom, and everything she says about prioritizing motherhood in the first 3 years. Why she thinks that daycare is the least good option for your child. Is backed up by several studies, several brain scans, and her experience as a psychoanalyst, because she has in her how it's called, so as a practitioner, she has the mothers with her children sitting in front of her who have attachment issues and anxiety issues and ADHD and all that jazz. And most of the times she finds the reason in the first 3 years. And everything she explains there is verbalizing what I felt in my heart always, you know? So where I come from, in my generation, it was normal to start daycare, which isn't daycare, which was kindergarten, with 3 years or 4 years old. Now it's common in Germany to start with 1 year. And I know in the US it's a few weeks after birth. So, and she is so lovely. Oh, she is so great. Definitely recommend her book. The second book is about adolescence. I think 9 to, I think, 25 years old, she said. And I will read that too, but I will wait a little bit so I have it fresh in my memory when our child is that age. And the second show, also interviews mostly, I really love watching, and I'm binge watching currently, is Dad Saves America. Oh gosh, it's the same format. You again have experts on several topics, and he is so great at interviewing them, and the way he presents his interview, how he cuts it at the post-production is very nice and pleasant to watch, but you can also just listen to it. And again, many different topics about iPad kids, about politics, about journalists, about raising children, being not it says Dad Saves America, but it's not only for dads or about dads, but it's usually about topics that should help you to make the country better. Yeah. And he is so, I like him so much. He's so funny. He's a Catholic. Oh, then there was about homeschooling, a show about homeschooling, an interview, or about alternative school systems like Waldorf schools or other free learner schools. Yeah, very interesting. And the last, but not least, but today, the last, what I'm still reading, because I'm a little bit slow on that, is still The Toxic War and Masculinity by Nancy Pearcey. And I still say this book is amazing. It's not so easy to read as, it's not as easy to read as Erica Komisar. Erica Komisar's style is, I read this within 3 days. And The Toxic War and Masculinity has this approximately the same page numbers, but it's written a little bit more difficult for me, at least, because I'm reading both books. I was reading them both in English. I think for a native speaker that won't be a problem. And that was everything for today. I hope there was something interesting for you in this show. I'm looking forward to the next podcast and to your comments down below under this video. And I'm wishing you a lovely time for knitting and crocheting, and I hope your summer isn't too hot where you live. Bye bye!